Whether it be a terrifying price point, the discomfort, the thought of it, or the fact that it's just too damn ugly, these fashion items keep me up at night. Hello, and the warmest of welcomes to today's video. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Nick, fab to have you here. Those who have seen my face before, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you're enjoying my videos. I put out videos roughly 3 times a week on a range of different topics, anywhere from fashion to slightly more personal topics. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then please do head down, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. I love chatting with you all. I'm all about living life loud, and what that means to me is being your authentic self, being proud to be you, and just celebrating who you are. Celebrating yourself, and of course, celebrating others. So, what are we talking about today? These are the fashion items that give me the night terrors, that make me scared, that just the thought of them brings me in a cold sweat for various reasons, okay? Let's talk about them. And if you own them and they don't give you night terrors, then that is all good. But they keep me up at night and I don't own them. And I have no plans to own them. Some of them. Anyway, we'll talk about it. The first item, and this is possibly one of the worst offenders on this list, it really truly bothers me. It's from Mulberry, and I love Mulberry. We know this. I'm a fan. I've got 5 Mulberry bags, but the big softie will never be one of them. It is horrendous, horrific. It is an airbed. It is just all kinds of terrible. The handle, awful. This blue that they've brought it out in with the blue hardware, it looks so cheap. It looks so tacky. This is over £1,000. I think nearly £1,200. And it looks like that. The strap is very similar to the one I've got on my Alexa, but the bag is so different that the strap doesn't make sense. The handles don't make sense. None of it makes sense. I have felt the quality of this bag, and it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But to look at, it is unappealing. It looks cheap. It looks tacky. It is not a vibe. It is absolutely not. How would you style this? You tell me. I have zero clue. Awful. Awful. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? They weren't. Anyway, moving on. Why on earth would you buy a pair of sneakers that were already dirty? What's the appeal? And why would you pay £700 for them? I've said dirty, of course they won't be. They are brand new shoes, but what I mean is distressed. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know, let's ask Gucci. Gucci, why? I don't understand this trend of something that already looks damaged. It already looks downtrodden. I get that there's a relaxation element to it. It's meant to look a little bit more carefree, maybe slightly edgier. Gucci do some great shoes, and these are not one of them. This bothers me, and it bothers me that it's seen to be fashionable, but I am someone who maybe wouldn't lean towards this style. Once something looks a little bit worse for wear, it tends to go out of the circulation for me, particularly shoes. I've got shoes that I've loved and used. They now look a little bit, you know, they're missing the mark now. So they have been retired and they're okay. These for £715, I don't get it. Anyway. Now this isn't an item that is particularly bothersome, but it's the price of it. It is this Louis Vuitton buttons leather bustier, which was in part of the Kusama collaboration. Quite possibly one of the most boring items from the front. It's a leather bustier, and then it's got the dots at the back. But from a styling perspective, a bustier tends to go under something else. First things first, in the spirit of authenticity, I decided to not change the freeze frame. It's funny. But also, I've said about a bustier often going under something else. They can, of course, be styled over the top of another garment. They can also be worn as the top itself. So it doesn't have to be exclusively styled under something else, but that's quite often how you will see it. So you might have that and then a jacket over the top of it, in which case you're missing all the detailing on the back, and it's £2,800. I'm sure it's very well made, but that is very, very expensive. And how does that compare to a bag, for example? Is it a similar, comparable amount of leather and the craftsmanship that goes into creating the bag to make it a similar price point? I mean, I just don't get it. It's very, very expensive. It's very, very plain. There's nothing that really speaks to me about the item. You know, I'm sure it's very nice. If they were selling this for £800, I'd say, okay, fine, fair enough. You know, it's a ready-to-wear item, it's leather, I get it. Creeping into 1,000, okay, still there. As soon as it knocks on 2,000, done. Absolutely not. It's uninspiring. Let's put it that way. I just think they've missed a trick with this particular item, in all honesty. They could have done more, they could have done better, especially for nearly £3,000. These shoes, to me, are the result of a love affair between a loafer and a monster truck. These look like they have the tyres of a monster truck on the bottom of them with the top of a loafer. And I don't find it to be aesthetically pleasing. These are from Prada. They are £960. Do I think they would be comfortable? Yes, I do. Do I think they will be well made? I absolutely do. Do I think they are hideous? Yes, I do. I am not a huge fan of these, as you can probably tell. They just look cumbersome. And I know that's part of the point. And I know that part of the trend to do with these is that they are supposed to edge up an outfit that might otherwise be considered a little bit too preppy. They're there to add a little bit of contrast to the outfit. But I think there are more successful ways to do it than to have tyre treads on the bottom of your shoe. Now, I know they're not tyres. I get that. But that is what they look like to me. And the logos are very subtle, which for Prada is part of their MO, which I think is great. They're just kind of this odd mix of loafer, trainer, tyre. I don't really get it, in all honesty. And I think the way that you would walk in them would be quite cumbersome because they look to be heavy. I would imagine that you would end up wearing them similarly to like a Timberland boot, and nobody moves particularly elegantly in a Timberland boot. It's quite a heavy way, it's quite heavy footed. So that's what I would say about these. They just miss the mark. Are they on trend? I think they probably are. I've seen a fair amount about them, but that doesn't mean they can't keep me up at night. And believe you me, they do, because these types of shoes, honestly, if someone were to gift me them, I could not wear them. I couldn't bring myself to do it. This is a range from a brand I said I would never buy, Balenciaga. I have very little interest in Balenciaga. I have never had much interest in Balenciaga. I have even less interest in Balenciaga now. And anything from the La Cagoule range, to me, is an absolute no-no. I really don't understand the hype around these items or the previous hype around these items. I think it's, you know, petered off a little bit in kind of recent weeks and months. But before then, these were it bags. These were popular. These were being, you know, swung around here, there, and everywhere on Instagram, and every influencer seemed to have one. Why? Another item that if you gave it to me, I would not be able to bring myself to wear. The only saving grace of them is they bring them out in some great textures and some great colours. But other than that, they, to me, look heavy-handed. They look childish. Hideous. Absolutely hideous. There are some items where you just look at it and think, why? And how am I going to wear that? And this item, it's another item from Gucci. And it is this choker with spikes. Choker necklace with spikes, and it is £785. Now, chokers aren't my favourite thing anyway, okay? As jewellery goes, I'm not a huge choker fan, okay? Love a necklace. Don't wear them myself, but I love a necklace. Chokers, not so much. This, to me, looks like something out of a horror movie. And whilst that might be a vibe, it is not the vibe that we often are going for. And I worry that it would restrict your range of motion. So you're wearing this, your, shoulders back, neck up, all good, okay? We're good there, no issues. You drop something and you have to lean down to get it. All of a sudden, your chin is firmly in the choker. That's gonna sting. That is not a comfortable thing to wear. And I don't really get it. If I'm honest, I don't really know what you're wearing with this, what the outfit is that you're trying. I can't see how you use it casually or how you use it formally. It's just not giving us what we need from a statement necklace, from a statement piece of jewelry. I could see it as a bracelet. I could. I think. Yeah. Why not? Could see it as a bracelet. I cannot see it as a necklace. Like I said, reminds me, reminiscent of kind of horror film for me and restricted range of motion. Not the things that I'm looking for in an item that costs £785. If someone is, fair enough. It's not what I'm going for. But each to their own. An item that the bag style is really, really lovely. It's the leather it comes in that bothers me. And this is the Bella. I'm showing you the Bella bag, which actually is a really cute bucket bag style. But this is one of the bag styles that comes in Mahina leather and the perforated leather. And it's the perforation of the leather that bothers me. I'm someone who the little kind of pinpricks and holes in an item bother me. It's that, I can't remember what the phobia is called, but it makes the hairs on my arms stand on edge. It just kind of sends a little shiver down my spine anytime I see something with that kind of perforation. It really bothers me. And for an item that's £3,000, £2,900, I wouldn't be able to look at it every day. I just couldn't. If I was sat at dinner and someone had that on the table and it was in my eye line, I would feel tense with it. It just would make me feel uncomfortable. And I think there's a lot of people who experience that. And it's not because it's not a nice item, because it is. And the colours it comes in are really nice. And the way that they style it is really nice. It's that perforation of the leather. I couldn't own a piece that had perforation. It just would send a shiver down my spine. It would just make me feel uncomfortable and uneasy, and therefore I couldn't possibly own something like that in my collection. It just wouldn't happen, no matter how nice that style of bag actually is. Different leather, fabulous, the Bella's lovely. But for that, for $2,900, it's a miss. Can we also just mention though, full bag in full leather, $2,900, leather bustier, $2,800. Does this not feel like better value? It does, to me at least. You rarely hear me say that I'm not a fan of something from Longchamp, but this is just very childish. This is the Vuitton zipped crossbody bag and they refer to it as multicolour. This just looks really childish, like a children's art project. I like the Vuitton, and what I like about the Vuitton normally is that it's understated. It's that it's a quiet, luxurious piece. It's beautifully made, but it doesn't scream, look at me, look at me. Quite often they bring them out in these beautiful colours, and the leather is really fantastic. This is missing all of that for me. This is not in the spirit of what the Vuitton range is. I always think that the Vuitton is a nice alternative to, for example, an Hermes Evelyn at a fraction of the price. Another bag with perforation, so that would also be a no. But I think this is a great alternative at a fraction of the price, not with this juvenile version. Some people will really like this because it is a little bit more fun. It is a little bit different. It's £295. That front pocket adds an aspect of practicality to it that the normal bags don't have in this range. But it's immature. It's childish, and it's not in the spirit of what I think Longchamp's about. I think if you're looking for something that's a little bit more playful, look at something like the Le Pliage Replay, which, by the way, they've added even more bag styles to. They've switched those out and they're really cool. So definitely take a look, but that's in the spirit of that line. This isn't in the spirit of this line. That's where my head goes to. Now to a brand that I never find that inspiring, but I would never say never to. Hence why it's not featured in a brands I wouldn't buy, but it also didn't feature in the brands I'm looking at, because it kind of just sits somewhere in the middle for me, and it's Loewe. And it is these Loewe runners. They are simply bizarre to me. They've got this little snout, as Cassie would say, that kind of pokes up at the top of the shoe. They've got what looks like a tiny little wedge heel. They're in this actually very nice purple, but they are just a very bizarre looking shoe. They are not flattering. I love the colour, but how do you style this with this style of shoe? If this was an all leather, kind of almost like Gucci Ace type shoe, then I think the colour could really pop, and I could see how you would work that in. You could wear that, even with something like what I'm wearing today, you could absolutely wear it with that, and that would be a really fun pop of colour. This particular runner style with this odd lifted snout and this kitten heel, I don't know where they were going with it. I do love a mixture of materials though. I love that that gives the shoe a little bit more dimension. It gives it a little bit of depth. It also brings out slightly different colours in the shoe. So you've got this mixture of purples, which I really do like. But for nearly £600, I think it's pretty unpleasant. Is it worse than the Gucci's that are pre-dirtied? Maybe. I don't really know. Yeah, actually, I think it is worse. If someone gave me a choice of which would you want to wear, I think I'd wear the Gucci's and just claim that I'd already made them look like that. I don't see how I could make these Loewe's work. I think they're pretty awful. And last, but by no means least, these keep me up at night because I think about these shoes a lot, okay? And it is not because they are horrible. They are absolutely stunning. But I think we all know the pain that these shoes can cause. And it is the Louboutin socate. I think there are very few shoes out there that are as beautiful as the socate. I love them in basically every variation they bring them out in. I think they are stunning. I'm not a huge fan of red, as we know, but I would make an exception to wear this shoe. I love a good heel. I love a good 120. But these take the pain of a standard 120mm heel. I own about 7 pairs of those, and I've worn them. It takes that, and it just dials it up 50% more. And that is not a place that you want to find your feet in. It is not a pleasant place. And they are very beautiful. They are very sexy. They elongate the legs. They make an outfit just look impeccable. So from an aesthetic perspective, they are bang on. And I know a lot of people say they're done, they're over, they're tacky. I don't agree. I think they are beautiful and timeless and an icon as shoes go. But the thought of spending £600 on a shoe that you ultimately know could be an instrument of torture, of fashion torture, ugh. That's a lot to process. That's a lot to digest. It's a lot to think about. Is it worth it aesthetically? I think maybe. But, God, you really would have to work yourself up, wouldn't you? I mean, I've got shoes that I can probably do for about 6 hours. The feedback I've been hearing, people are struggling to do 30 minutes. And it's from individuals that I've spoken to who are a very competent and confident high heel walker. They often wear 100s and 120s, and they find these challenging. That means I will find them challenging. I am confident in a 120, but I think these could be my, my nemesis, my David and Goliath, my kryptonite, whatever that may be. Am I spending £595 for kryptonite? I'm not sure. What would Superman have done? I don't think he'd ever paid for it, would he? So this could be the thing that if I were to buy them and wear them, these could be what puts me off heels forever. My feet would probably thank me for that. My bank balance, not so much. So let's see, because I love them. I want to own some. I want to wear some. but I'm not going to thank myself for it. So will rational Nick win out, or will fashion Nick win out? I've held off this way for a long time, but I'm swaying this way. They bring them out in like a luminous pink. I think it's all over. But anyway, let's see. So there we are, everyone. Those are my thoughts. I hope I haven't, offended too many people in the process of this. It's meant to just be a little bit of fun. Let me know, what are some of the items that keep you up at night? What are some of those fashion pieces that just really bother you, that you think, what were they thinking? How could they have thought that that was a good idea on paper and an even better idea once it was in production? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye now.